Through frosted, flowered window panes, one looks out and sees the faint images of one's youth. The more distant those images are, the more they appear as snapshots in the mind. Sometimes brilliant and sharp, others recollections of that past, tinged with the frost of time. One such recollection I have was when I was no more than 3 years old. We were living in Phoenix, Arizona, and according to my elder siblings and from what my father had mentioned from time to time, there were Sunday afternoons when he would pack up the family and go to Camelback Mountain. According to their accounts, the afternoons were spent in hiking the trails. Well, everyone but myself, as I was hardly old enough to do so. This particular image I recall, and it must have driven my father nuts, is I was bawling my head off, and there, with arms outstretched, singing some song, was the smiling face of my mother coming to take away my sadness. Even now I hear her voice, see her smile, and her arms held out, having pleasure for my sadness. I admit, to say that one has pleasure for another's sadness is not the usual way to say had compassion. However, in translating Pastor Gerhardt's words, this phrase struck and stuck in my mind. The words from Isaiah 53 came singing with outstretched arms to hold me. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. It is one thing to do so because one has to, but to do so willingly and gladly is another. And that is what Jesus came to do. He came because he delighted in us, because he had compassion for us, because of our sadness. He came to take it away and remove it from us. The writer to the Hebrews in chapter 12:2 makes this very point. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Pleasure for our sadness. So many times we find this phrase in the Gospels, and Jesus had compassion on them and healed all. Jesus wept at the tomb of Lazarus, and when he could have asked for more than 12,000 legions of angels, Jesus allowed himself to be bound, falsely accused and condemned, spit on, scourged, dragged out of town carrying his cross for as far as he could, then nailed to it, jeered and mocked at, dying slowly for hours. And that was just the physical aspect of our Lord's death. Rejected by the Father, because he laid on him the iniquity of us all. All this was our sadness. All this and eternal death would have been our endless sadness, had Jesus not had pleasure in it. That we in him have eternal pleasure and endless gladness. When the angels sang, "Christ is born," this was the long-range view and purpose for which Jesus was born. That he not only share in our sadness, but take it on himself, that we may have joy. How our hearts spring for joy at the announcement, Jesus Christ is born for you, today. Amen.